If you have any unresolved issues in your life that triggering you over and over, emotionally drained, that leads you to being stressed, being depressed, anxiety, loneliness, not knowing what to do because of that problem, that issue, that conflict that you are encountering at this moment in your life. Guess what? I've been into your shoes. I've been there. I was surrounded with toxic people that I never invited them to come into my life. But guess what? The universe is just so good to you. The universe is so good to me. It's because of that problem. I convert that as a gift, as a big project. So in other words, if you encounter big problems in your life, you can transition into a big problem to a big project as long as you know how to convert, because you already learned from that lesson, from that situation. And guess what? Through these experiences, I've met someone and I decided to invite him into the podcast because he also helped me to transition my emotions. That's why I can think clearly and also I can make a decision based on a very smart decision, so I can move my life to the next level. And at the same time, I want you also to experience breakthroughs into your life, especially if you're struggling with that emotions that you cannot decide, you're stuck into where you are. It is because that emotions triggers you. And I would love you to listen to our podcast, because this coach, he will be sharing the 4 elements for you to find happiness. And of course, we will also be doing a live sessions, so you will experience it yourself. And this is a live session, and I would really love you to come and join us so you can also experience breakthrough. You can apply his strategies into whatever emotions that triggers you at this moment. And we would love to see you transform and help other people as well. But before that, help yourself first. So I met Team Middelbos last year when we attended a high quality training program, and there we started to communicate and we started to build trust. And I didn't realize that today we can do some amazing work. And I'm so grateful that he said yes to my invitation. And the one thing that I want you also to share with us is whatever emotions you may be struggling at this moment, you may share with us so we can also help you. All right? Here you go. I'm so excited to introduce you our guests to this podcast, where you can discover tools in order for you to experience a life-changing experience, a life-changing creation, and you experience good things about yourself. I would like to share a little bit about Team Middelbos. So he is one of the graduate students of Tony Robbins. As you all know, that Tony Robbins is one of the icon mentors in the world. And at the same time, Tim also graduated into different high-quality training programs. That's why he discovered these powerful tools that he already used to his clients in Netherlands, Singapore, and to different parts of the world. Before he decided to help other people transition their emotional struggles, Tim himself also struggles from depression through relationship trauma that he shared with me, and we will be discussing this inside our podcast, and we would like you also to learn from his experience. And guess what? I will be sharing with you at least 2 from that 4 key elements, and I'm sure you will love it. So number 1 key elements to find happiness is focus. Remember the word focus. Where do you focus on at this current moment? Ask yourself, where do you focus your energy, your time? Are you focusing into thinking about that problem? And that problem, if you are thinking over and over, it will expand. You will invite more, or you will attract more problems. And team will gonna expand that during our conversation. And number 2, did you know that you can convert your pains into a gift, into freedom, or into a big project? And that's what I'm doing at this moment. I'm turning my pains into a big project. That's why I am doing what I do because I love serving people. I love leading. I love solving problems. And I love sharing my experience, my breakthroughs, the wisdom that I gathered from other people. And the number 3 and number 4, you will be diving deeper into this podcast because Tim will share with you these key elements. And I look forward to seeing you inside the podcast. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Hello.
I heard that you just went from Bali. Are you still in Bali?
Well, the background suggests I'm still in Bali, but no, I'm actually back in Singapore. I went there last week and we came home last Saturday, so I'm very refreshed now.
Oh wow. Do you know that it's also my dreams to visit Bali, and I believe that one day I can also visit Bali.
I
And
believe so too.
Tim, I would like to say thank you for saying yes to this invitation. And I'm so grateful that we are now connecting today and we make these things happen to share some valuable insights. And at the same time, we have the same mission to help other people transition their pains into freedom. But by the way, I would like to say thank you as well because you helped me transition my emotions into freedom. That's why, you know what? You are the reason behind why I'm doing what I'm doing now, interviewing people. And I'm so grateful to you.
That's so nice to say. But let me say one thing. I don't think I'm that special in the sense that it was because of me. It's just because I guided you through the place inside yourself where you can find the right answers and the right direction which suits you. And I think you're doing great. You're amazing. You're very energetic. And I want to thank you as well for having me here.
All right. So, I remember the moment when we had a conversation and you shared with me about your previous life, and I was intrigued to know more about that because our topic for today is all about the emotions. Because, this is a very, very big topic that sometimes people are stuck because of these emotional challenges. And of course, I am one of that products because I've been into a situation that it's just so difficult. How can I get out of this situation? And then when you share with me about the situation that you experience to have the challenge in that area of relationship trauma, and on behalf of our audience, because I believe that they can resonate with this topic. And guess what, Tim? I have so many friends struggling with the same issue, and they are so excited about this podcast. And I chose this topic. It is because so many people can really benefit into the 4 key elements that you will be sharing with us later on into
Sure.
this conversation. And my first questions with you is, what is the most challenging moment in your previous life that led you to where you are right now? Would you mind sharing that with us and to our audience?
Yeah, sure. So the most challenging moment. So let me share a little bit about the background because I think it's important to create a little bit of context in this. So I was in a relationship for about 2.5 years, and we had our fair share of incidents, not together, but some big things happened during the relationship. Um, well, for I was 20, 21 at the time. My girlfriend was then, my ex-girlfriend was 16, 17. And her father died suddenly, and she got depressed and anxious within the relationship. And I was there for her, like along the way, like she had to snap her fingers, and I was there for her. And of course, it had a big impact on her and on the family, and also it had an impact on the relationship, which is, I think, natural. But I thought a good partner is just to be the support and be there every step along the way so that when things get better, then we can enjoy the relationship the way we want again. And then she had a fallback when her grandmother died. And when things got better, about 2.5 years in the relationship, that's where she shared with me, like, Tim, you remind me too much of the past, so I want to break up with you.
Oh,
And
wow.
here was me thinking I was doing all the right things, all the things a good boyfriend should do. And she was ignoring that part of me. So I felt not only rejected, but also it crushed me in the sense that I got rejected because of the person who I am. And the most challenging thing for me was to overcome the rejection, not only from her, but also it broke part of my identity because I thought this was going to be the partner I was going to grow old with, and now suddenly she was gone. Then the question remained like, what is left of me? And then you start asking yourself so many questions, and in my case, the wrong questions, that you just spiral down. So for me, for example, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, like, why does this happen to me? Why am I not good enough? Like the why questions. And before you know, you have like a laundry list of all the things why you are not good enough, why you don't deserve her, why you, um, well, not good enough. And then once you start to ask those questions and you engage in those things, you start to believe it yourself. And then before you know it, you dig your own grave. And before you realize it, it's for me, in my case, it was already too late because I was on the way to depression and I didn't
Oh,
know how to crawl out of it myself. So, yeah, that particular event led to a depression for me, which later also developed anxiety and even panic attacks. But I think when it comes down to the biggest challenge is to uh, get out of the hole you dug for yourself
but
because no, go ahead.
Tim, it's not easy to just get out from the situation unless you're already aware and conscious. And sometimes it took other people to stay into that comfort zone, even though it's just being so painful, toxic, and you can really feel it that you're no longer growing. But I salute you for that you went out into the situation. And I believe that you're still young during that time and we cannot really make the right decision. And yes,
Well, and
continue.
that's the thing. Like one thing I want to share about that, I believe we always do the best we can at the during the time it happens. So when you beat yourself up about it 10 years after, then, I mean, of course, you gain more knowledge, more insights, more awareness about yourself. So now you would do things differently. But back then, I mean, I did everything I could based on the things I knew. And
Yes.
um, so, yeah, for me, it's also so many people are so hard on themselves because they should have done different things in the past and they beat themselves over it. Well, for me, it's like it's not a good place to be in the sense that if you want to be happy, then you should learn instead of beat yourself over it.
But all right, to summarize that, because of that pains, you transition yourself to become a coach and helping others to transition their, emotions, struggles that leads them to depression, anxiety. And I also experienced that on my own. We have the same path because sometimes we are so loving to people, we're so caring, we do our best, but the other person, they cannot really see our good intention. Instead, they just focus onto themselves. And yes, so to our audience that are listening at this moment, see if you have the similar experiences. And because Tim will gonna share us an amazing experience into the sessions today. And yes, thank you so much for sharing your challenge, and you create that into a beautiful creation, and then that leads into a transformational journey that you are doing right now. So as I believe that you turn your pains into gift, as what you said during our conversation, and that's also what I'm doing at this moment. And I want also to know what were your thoughts, your habits, your actions during that time, because I believe that our listeners sometimes, why I'm doing this way, how can I get out from this? So what were your actions and habits last time during that challenging time, your
For
habits?
me, I love I actually love to hide myself. Like I didn't want to engage with other people.
Hmm.
I did only the necessary things. Um, and then I could go back to my place where I lived and then could lay on the couch, on the bed or whatever. And I think the perfect week for me back then was like I would have loved to stay in bed for the whole week. It's just not engaging with any other people, don't have any responsibilities at all, just disappear for everything where I should be responsible for, like, for example, work, school, education, stuff like that. But I was feeling so down and I still was so stuck in my own head that for me, a coping mechanism was to just hide away and just remove myself from all the trouble.
Oh, if so, when you hide yourself, do you think that's the best way that you did last time, or did you also like read some books, or maybe listen to podcasts, or whatsoever that help you also to go through it, or you just stay in your room and
Well,
just being by
okay.
yourself?
So, of course, it's not the best way. But for me, it was the best way for me in that period with the knowledge I had. Because during that time, the thing is, because you change inside, and for me, everything stopped for a little bit. I needed to process this, but there was no time because the rest of the world around me just went on. So instead of getting stuck in you moving on as well, I wanted to process everything that I was going through. But then what happens is you feel very lonely because you feel very understood. And because you feel misunderstood, you don't want to engage with other people because you feel you like they don't um, understand what you're going through. And that's when you kind of shy away in the sense that, okay, I should fix myself first before I go out again, because otherwise people don't understand what it is like to go or to interact with me. Because I was always like a pretty happy, energetic kind of guy, and I love to go out, for example, drinking a beer, stuff like that. And I kept doing that, but my energy level was very low. So a lot of people said to me, Tim, what's going on? And then I shared a little bit of my story. And then what happens is when you tell your story and then people say, oh, that's so bad, and they understand why you're depressed, but actually what they're doing is they reinforce the depression. So you also start to believe that this is valid. And then you be unhappy, but at least there's a reason why you're unhappy. So you just stay with it. Um, yeah, that's kind of what happened to me.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can also resonate with that. And the only difference between you and me is that I kept for a long time. For you, it's just like a short period of time. And I reach out to people, and I believe that you also reach out to people. But sometimes we share our struggles, our problems with the wrong person. But when we are already aware, we know where to reach out. Same like me when you had helped me last time. When I mean, during that moment that I am very, very stressed, depressed. Depressions can kill you. It's a very, the energy can drain you emotionally, spiritually, and everything. But once we know where to reach out, then we are okay with it. So, yes, thank you for sharing those experiences that you had.
Yeah,
And
no
also, you
worries.
mentioned to me last time that interests me or intrigued me the most is that when you already decided and you are aware and conscious to where you was last time, and you just mentioned to me that you pack your things and you just left, and not everybody can do that. You are so brave. Would you mind sharing some part of that journey?
Well, that's a little bit of journey that happened before that. So actually, what got me out of the depression and anxiety was like I hit my rock bottom. I reached my threshold. I remembered that I wanted to. My hobby in the Netherlands was the game darts. I don't know if you know it, but that was my thing back then. And I wanted to watch a match that was going on with one of my best friends. And I remember sitting on a bicycle on the way over there, and then in my head, I was already getting so crazy again. Like, well, what if they don't like me? And because there were also people I didn't know. What if you make the wrong impression? What if you make a fool of yourself? And then at some point, I just threw my bicycle on the side of the road. I sat on the bench for a little while, and I remember just sitting like this, like, why the hell do I think things that I don't want to think? Why the hell do I feel things that I don't want to feel until the point that it just intervenes with my everyday life. So like, okay, this is no way of living, so I need to change it. So for me, it was whenever I thought of the past, it was pain. Whenever I thought of the present, it was pain. And whenever I thought of the future, it was also pain. So I needed to change something.
And we
And
need to
that's
solve,
where,
right?
sorry?
We have to solve it. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
remain into that situation.
Yeah. And one of the biggest mistakes I made is that I thought I have to do everything on my own. I have to carry everything on my own and I have to work through it all on my own. But the thing what happens then is that everything becomes very heavy to carry and you have very little energy left. And it takes a different mind to change the mind you have. So if you want to change your own mind and mindset and your own thoughts with the same thoughts you have, that's not going to work. So you need to have somebody who can teach you or guide you. And for me, um, I saw one time this documentary on Netflix from Tony Robbins, and then I've decided to go to America to in the live
Oh,
event to join that program of him, and well, that's where everything changed for me. And
the
the funny
magic
thing is,
happens.
yeah, and it's very addictive because once you start feeling better, then you want to know more and you want to achieve more, and you think you're capable of more because you can see the actually worth what you are actually worth inside. And once you start to recognize your own strengths and your own power, then you want to give that back to other people as well.
So, wow. So, the solutions that you took is to really enroll yourself to one of Tony Robbins' program that had helped you tremendously with that problem. And I want also to share it with our audience that it's really true because if you are listening at this moment, make it sure that you have the guide and a coach for you to navigate or help you to also to get out of that comfort zone. I also did that last time because sometimes, right, when we are stuck into that situation and we try to talk to our friends, but our friends cannot help us to solve our problems because they don't have the powerful tools to share it with us. So I also enrolled myself into, personal development like you. And it's just amazing when other people are aware that they really need some help. And yeah, maybe you can share more about that and what is the importance of having a guide or a mentor during your, challenging time.
Well, the thing for me was that since a long time, I actually felt that somebody understood what I was going through. And it was not a one-on-one event. So there was like a room with 5,000 people, and I didn't have a one-on-one session with him. But the things that he shared, and it's not only him, like there are so many great seminars and great teachings from people that are going through or have gone through what you are going through right now. For me, it was depression. And somebody guided me out of the depression, and it went so well that I never gone back since. I think it's like 2018, so 6 years ago. And in
Wow.
fact, I only got happier and happier in the sense that, okay, I found my purpose, my strengths, and now I feel comfortable about giving back to other people as well. But the thing is, if you want to go somewhere and you don't know how to do it, you have to find someone who already has walked the path you want to walk, because then it can, you save time. Because if you want to figure out everything on yourself, it probably takes a lot of time, effort, and energy. Well, if you take somebody who has already walked where you want to go, then he can just show you the steps, and the only thing you have to do is take action on the things he or she is saying. So for me, the most important thing for me was that I felt understood and a clear guidance to what steps and what things I need to do and need to understand and need to gain in order to get out of the depression, anxiety, and the whole mental stress on its whole.
Oh, wow. I want to congratulate you because you already went out to that depression. And yes, it's not easy because your emotion is something like, as I said just now, it's draining you emotionally, spiritually, physically, and you cannot move to whatever you want to do. Like, for example, when I'm also into that situation, I was so depressed and I have a big dream, I have a big vision, but I couldn't move. I cannot even start because once there's like a garbage inside of me, I couldn't really get out. And I would like to congratulate ourselves that we
Yeah.
went through all those. That's why we are here today and
Yeah.
sharing all these valuable lessons that we gathered. And of course, we experience it on our own. That's why we're very confident to share this.
I can say one thing about that. So once you get over your own, well, let's say trauma, because most of the time there's a trigger why you got depressed, then it doesn't impact you as much as it did before. And then instead of becoming a burden, it becomes wisdom. And then it's very easy to share because you don't relive those emotions constantly. You know what happened, you know how you felt back then, but you have a different state of mind right now. So it's easier to share your experience without getting emotionally involved in the things that caused it in the first place. So I think that's
That's really
also a
true.
really, yeah, key factor in overcoming your struggles. It becomes wisdom in the long run.
Yeah, that's really, really true. And of course, we have to know the root of the problems before we
Mm.
can solve that problem. Like what you did to me only like a few weeks ago. And I was just so amazed. Then I said, okay. I remember last time when you execute this method that you're doing and you're using it to your clients and to the people that you already help. And then I felt something amazing during that time, during that moment. And I even shared with you that I went out late at night and celebrated it. And because I believe that that is a win. And of course, I already have this beautiful mindset. I'm aware, I'm conscious. But sometimes, if that toxic environment or toxic people always coming in into your zone, then it's sometimes difficult to separate yourself. That's why I told to myself, I'm going to reach out with this person. It is because you share something into our group. Okay, I needed this person. Okay, I'm going to try. So, are you going also to execute that here into this session today so our audience or listeners can also experience the amazing experience?
So you want me to do the same thing again, or you want me to share something else? Because for
Yeah,
me, okay,
you decide. You decide, right?
okay, yeah. So that experience is like once it's how to overcome your behavior that's in the way to for progress. But it's a very specific one. And I think in this session, I want to share more basic knowledge on how people can um, kind of recognize their own emotions, thoughts, and pattern. Once you recognize the things that causes you the emotions you don't want to feel, then you can also uh, stop yourself fairly early in the process. And if you then also can create the feelings you want to feel, I think that's way more powerful in this particular session than going through the same process we did, because this is easier to understand in a step by step process.
Yeah, maybe we can use an example because most of the people, of course, including myself, and I want to use myself an example. So people sometimes they're dealing with toxic people in their life. So like, for example, we're talking about relationship, friendship relationship, parenting, or you name it. That's relationship. We're not just talking about love relationship here, but it's also applicable to colleague or maybe friends or parents or bosses, something like that. Is that applicable as well? I believe so, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This
So,
is very, very easy to understand. And this is one of the major things that I learned over the years, and I applied it myself for so long, so that once I start the first once I was thinking the first thought that was coming in that was leading to my depression, I was immediately able to stop it. And that's so powerful because then you don't engage in it. You know how to stop it. And then once you also have an alternative for that same thought, then you can lead it to a different emotion and a different feeling. And I want to mention the hard thing for me to uh, confess to myself was during my depression and during my anxiety. The reason why it took me so long to get out of it, I think I was about depressed 2.5 years, something like that. And the reason why it took me so long to get out of it because also gained something from it. And that was very hard for me to confess to myself, like, okay, if I know this is not right for me and I know this is not how I should feel, but I gained support from people around me. And at some point, I used it to connect with other people. But what then happened was I connected with people who were also miserable, so we could come together, but then feel miserable together. But so that was
That's
also another way to go. Um, so yeah, you also have to realize that if there's something you cannot let go of, then it's because you gain something from it. Um, so yeah, I also want you and people to understand that if there's something you hold on to, then you also have to have a look in the mirror, like, okay, what do I have to let go of if I want to overcome this? And it for
so
me it was very hard because sometimes somebody hold the mirror in my face, like, okay, look at yourself, and why are you holding on to this? And then I realized, okay, I'm using this as an excuse for certain behaviors as well. So
mm, yeah, because during that time, so my problem that I confess with you is all about the person that creating some toxic into my head over and over. And I want to get out from that because I have a big dream. And did you know that I keep telling to myself that I really want to interview people, but because of that toxic environment, toxic people, I couldn't start. And then you just came in the right timing. So I'm so grateful for that. And I want also our audience and listeners to experience this breakthrough. So again, on behalf of them, I just imagine that that pain is still here with me. So our audience can understand and they can resonate with our topic. Is that okay for you that you can run through it? And of course, I want to ask for how long it is because last time I think we did it for 30 minutes.
yeah, so okay, we can dive into it if you want. So for me, the first thing, if you want to change your emotions, you have to be aware of certain things. And the first one is, where do I focus on? So, what part of the problem do I focus on? Because there are always more things you can focus on. And so, do you have a specific problem you want to solve now? Because then we can do it together. Otherwise, I will just share in general. That's also fine.
Yes, sure, sure. I have a specific problem toxic people around me.
Toxic people around you. Okay, so what are you? What is the feeling that you want to? What you have around it?
Be stuck because when that triggers and whenever I see that person and I couldn't really get out and I cannot do the things that I really want to do because there's so much statement that's happening that's blocking the things that I want to do and always like, you know, not supportive. Instead, it's all like that, disempowering.
So, yeah, so in order for you to feel disempowering, you have to focus on certain things, right? So what I hear you say is you focus on the things you cannot do because of it, right? So you're focusing on the things that are missing in your life instead of being grateful for the things that already are in your life. Because no matter the situation, there's always something to be grateful for if you want to. Because what's wrong is always available and so is what's right. It's only a matter of where do I focus on. So in these same situations, are there also things you can be grateful for?
Yes, there's so many things that I'm grateful for.
Yeah, so if is there a difference in your feeling when you focus on the things you are grateful for and versus the things you when you focus on the things you are missing in this case?
Oh, because during this situation, I keep on focusing into that problem. and instead of focusing into good things, but sometimes it's like 80% to the bad things and 20% to the good thing.
Yeah, so the thing is, when you're focusing on things like that, if you want to have control over your life, you have to focus on the things you can control, right? So you have a choice to focus on the things you can control or focus on the things you cannot control. And if you focus on the things you cannot control and also on the parts that are missing in your life because of the problem you have, then you're already on your way to feeling sadness or some kind of negative emotions because you're only focusing on the bad things in this specific situation. So, is there something that, um, when you focus about this, is there something you can control?
I can control, yes, I can control my emotions. Not
Exactly, yeah.
to really dive deeper into that. I can control, but again, that triggers, it's very strong.
hmm But when you focus, what's the trigger, if I may ask?
The trigger is the statement that the person keep using, like degrading, gaslighting, and not empowering words.
Okay, and if that person says that to you, how does that make you feel?
I feel so small. Like, I felt that it's like I'm useless, something like that. That of course, I am not, but because of that words, the statement, that person's always like feeding my mind, my thought, it's something like I'm going depressed, having that anxiety, that feeling lonely and depressed.
So, can you go into that place now? Can you feel small, depressed in that place now? So, is it like some sort of depression
Do I
or
have to
just a
close my
feel?
eyes with this?
Well, if it's easier for you, you can.
Okay.
Um, so from a scale from 1 to 10, like 10 is totally you want to kill yourself, and 1 is like you're perfectly happy. How bad is it when you're on your worst?
8.
Okay, can you go to that place now? You cannot if you're there. Okay, so in order for you to feel this bad, you have to think certain things. So when you feel this bad, what are the things you are focusing on?
The bad things,
Yeah?
those words that I heard from that person,
And what are those?
like you're not, you cannot call yourself a coach. You're just
Okay, you can.
being jealous, something like that, but I am not.
Okay, but stay in this state. So what do you think about yourself then when that happens?
I just feel that like I am not like that. I'm just good enough.
Okay, but that so when you feel like your depression at an 8, are those the things you are thinking or are you in a different state now?
If I may share that those, I'm just like being stuck. I don't like to move. And sometimes I am lazy to get up and do the things that I should be doing.
hmm So you beat yourself up for being lazy of not doing things. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the second part I want to um, go into this is what what are the what meaning do you give to this? In the sense that do you see this as a do you punish yourself? Do you challenge yourself? Or do you see this as a moment of growth?
I feel like this is a gift that I have to overcome.
Okay. But when you're feeling at an 8, do you always see it as a gift?
Sometimes
Okay. And the thing is how you're still in a quite natural state. I cannot see your whole body, but in order for you to feel like depression on an 8, you have to do certain things with your body as well. And I cannot see your whole body, so I cannot really see what's going on. But normally, people are breathing very shallow when it comes to depression.
I
Maybe their
cried,
shoulders
you
are,
know, I
yeah.
cried, when during the time I cried, and then I asked myself, what did I do? I never done anything. Instead, I'm just being a caring person, and I do everything for that person to realize that I'm helping that person. And then, of course, I'm becoming like skinny, and then my face becoming uglier because I'm depressed. And sometimes, you know, I feel like dark into my surrounding, that it look like, you know, the bulb that's supposed to be shining is just become dark.
Mhm. So just a quick summary. You can open your eyes now if you want. So just a quick summary. In order for you to feel depressed, you have to think certain things to get there. You have to use your body in a certain way to get there as well. And then it's also what language and what meaning do you give to the event, um, to because our mind are meaning makers. So we always give our events a certain meaning, and it can be a punishment, it can be a challenge, or it can be a gift. In your case, it was a gift. I remembered from my own depression that I was punishing myself for not being a better person. So when you focus on all the negative things, the things that are missing in your life, you see it as a punishment, and your physiology is like very tense. You're breathing shallow, and your shoulders are hanging a bit. Then that's how you do depression. Because what most people don't understand is that you do emotions. Like they're not a product of your environment, but you go there. You go to the emotions instead of the emotions come to you. So this is how you go to depression in your case at an 8 out of 10. So is there also like a feeling of happiness, of like a positive emotion you feel regularly?
Yeah, of course. I feel there's like a change. It's just amazing because during that time when you did this to me, I really felt depressed, and I even cried, and I feel really low that time that, I did all my best. What have I done? I am just so caring. And I realized that I have to change the way I treat other people. That's the way I want to treat myself. So, yes. And then after that, right after the conversation and after our sessions, then I realized that I can convert this as a gift, and now I can share more insights to people because I experience it on my own, what it looked like to be depressed, what it looked like to be having that anxiety. And before we continue, Tim, I would like to emphasize also to our listener that you will be sharing the 4 key elements to finding happiness, that instead of being stuck, and I think you already mentioned few
Hmm.
regarding the physiology, and I would like you to expand that. And yeah, you may continue our conversation a while ago.
Sorry. I don't know, it was my misunderstanding. I thought that we're doing it together. So, okay, I will share more in general. Because for me, the key, okay, so the key things for change is first you have to recognize what they are. And then the second part is you have to also know where you want to go. How do you want to feel, and what is your goal? What is your go-to place? Where do you want to go? Because if you don't have a place or a vision or a goal where you want to go, then you are leaving your emotions by events of the past or either by chance. So whatever happens outside of you will control your emotions. Well, when you have a clear goal and a clear vision on how you want to see yourself and who you want to be, then it's very easy to, let's say, practice your new emotions. And you can practice it so many times that it becomes your second nature. But first, we have to become aware of the emotions that you feel regularly now that you want to change. And the first thing about that I want to share is it's like a triad. There are 3 things that create your state. And the first thing is, where do you focus on in life in general. So are you focusing on the things that are missing in your life, or are you focusing on the things that are already there in your life? Because if you focus on the things that are missing in your life, you will feel probably a sense of lack. And if you are focusing on the things that are there in your life, you will probably feel a sense of gratitude. So those are already two different things that if you focus more on the things that are missing, there's a high probability that you'll already feel sad or negative emotions more regularly than the positive ones. The second thing about focus is, do you focus on the things that you can control, or that to focus on the things that you cannot control? In order, for example, I think the biggest one is the government, like
Okay.
things are happening all over the world. But do you let the things outside control your emotions, or do you say, okay, I can control what I watch, I can control what I look for, I can control how I feel, or do you focus on the things you cannot control? For example, the decisions that are being made outside of you, or do you control your reaction to it? Because if you um, focus on the things you cannot control, and you also focus on the things that are missing, then you will probably have a very problematic life, in the sense that you probably very quickly overwhelmed, in the sense that, oh, I don't know what to do about this, because you are leaving things outside of you. And then the last thing that I want to share about focus is, do you focus more on the past, the present, or the future? Because it's my opinion that the past doesn't exist. I mean, we don't have a time machine yet, so we cannot go back in time and then relive the experience. So the only thing what we can relive or re-experience is the memory of the past. And studies have shown already that, like, over time, more than 50% is made up in your mind about the event, if it's the longer the time is. So let's say 10 years ago happened something to you, then already 50% is made up in the story. So what you want to do, in my opinion, is you want to focus on the present, and you want to focus what you can do now in order to create a good future for you. Because a different way to look in the future is to always, and I was good at this as well, like always look out for the worst case scenario, so that whatever happened, then you can feel good. You were prepared, let's say. But what it does as well, it gives you a lot of anxiety, because if you look always for the worst case scenario, you always have those pictures of the worst case scenarios as well. So if you can shift your focus, if you know what to focus on, then it becomes already easier to manage your state and your emotions. So let's say if you focus on what's missing, what you cannot control, and things in the past, that's already three things that you don't have any influence over, and then to get out of the depression will be very hard. So this is the first thing.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. Okay. I just want to add something into that. So where we focus on really expand. And, sometimes that emotions, we cannot easily detach from that situation. And it's because what you mentioned, that we have to really focus on into the things that's important to us, instead of focusing into the missing thing. Then, oh my goodness, I cannot imagine the moment when I was being depressed and I just focused into that one thing that I couldn't get out. And it took me like 20 years. Can you imagine that, Tim? 20 years. Because I do not have any tools. I do not have any good people around me. Instead, like what you mentioned a while ago, that instead of attracting those people, the good one, but I attract those people the same like me. We're all depressed. And I was so focused into that. And it's very important also that we really have to connect with people that is like 5 or 10 step ahead of us, so we can focus into the things that really matters to us, so we can be happy. Those listeners right now, don't be like me that it took me 20 years. At least for team, it took only 2.5 years.
Add something about that as well, because there was this some very simple, let's say, formula. It's not as big as it sounds, but it's very
Okay.
simple. But it was very profound for me when I heard it for the first time. So there's like a formula for happiness, and that's like you have a vision of how your life should be. So let's say your blueprint, and when your reality is aligned with your vision, then that's the formula for happiness, because you probably have an area in your life where everything is as you envision. So you're pretty happy in that area of your life. But you also have probably an area in your life, and I have too, where you're not so happy. And the reason why you're not happy in that area is because you have a vision about how that area in your life should be, and it does not equal the reality. So then you have to can do two things. You have to adjust your blueprint, or you have to adjust your reality. So you have to work towards what you want. And there's one thing also I want to share. That's the formula for suffering.
Okay.
So let's say you have a vision on how your life should be, and the reality is different. And what I want to add to that is, if you also feel powerless to do something about it, that's where you suffer, because every day when you wake up and you look to your reality, and you see every day that it's not there. You have to cope with everything that's missing, everything you said you wanted for yourself in life, and you see that it's not there, even though you try hard, or maybe not, but you get um, hit by realities every day, and it's not there where you want to be. And what we do in suffering is then we blame other things, like we blame events, we blame other people, or sometimes even ourselves.
Family as well, society.
Society, yeah. But that's like the victimhood. So what I like to live by is I am 100% responsible of everything that is going around in my life, which does not mean that I'm 100% responsible for everything that happened in my life, but it's my responsibility on how to react on it. Because when you get in the victimhood, then you don't get over your struggles, your burdens, your emotions. But when you take responsibility about it, that's where change can happen.
Wow, that's a really, really powerful information that we can share it to our listeners.
Mm.
And yes, thank you so much for sharing that. One key elements to finding happiness. And of course, I'm so excited to learn more about these three key elements, because you said you will be sharing four key elements here. So number one is focus. You can go ahead with number two.
Okay, so the second one is, what meaning do I give to this? And what I mean by that is, you can give it different meanings, because our minds are like meaning maker machines. So whenever we go through something, we can see it as a punishment, like because I was bad to this person, it's only natural that something bad happens to me. You can say, in a sense, the karma. Um, but when you see it as a punishment, you kind of accept it. You linger in those negative feelings and negative emotions. So for me, that's not a wise meaning to give to it. But when you have a problem, let's take the same problem, for example, and you see the same problem instead as a punishment, you see it as a challenge, the whole feeling around the whole problem already changed. So instead of feeling punished by it, you can also see this as a challenge, like, okay, this is something I need to overcome. And when I overcome it, I am a better person. So you can see it as a challenge for growth, for example. And on a very rare occasion, because I don't know many people that do the last thing, you can also see every problem you have as a gift. And what I mean by that is, you can see it as something you can use as a tool for growth. But I don't know many people who are happy with their problems. The last thing I want to say is just a different way to approach the same problem you have in different ways. And if you go the same problem and you see it as a punishment, it will be very different than when you see it as a challenge. And it will feel different as well when you see it as a gift. So the meaning you give to your problem is also a big part in how you feel about this specific situation.
There's so many people around us, they're really, really depressed and having that problem. And again, it took them so long to be there. And because for us, we're aware of it, and we are one of the leaders that can educate people how can they overcome this. And as you said, we can consider this as a gift because we know how to turn it, especially if we are into coaching, and we can use this as a tool and share it to our clients, friends, and I believe that to convert that pains into a gift, that's amazing. So like what I said, I also struggle with different types of problems in my life, not just about health, not just about relationship, not just about work, but there's so many. It's like unlimited list into my list. And then again, I choose which one is the best that I can turn into a gift. So like the situation right now, that why am I attracting this type of people? I never attract them into my life. Then I ask that to the universe. Why am I experiencing this way? And then the answer is that it's very interesting. It is because I've given you a gift to be a catalyst for change. And now you cannot just solve one problem. Instead, you become the solutions provider to other people, like what you're doing right now. And it's just interesting. We're not just talking about fitness now, but we are talking about love and relationship issue. If they are encountering the toxic personality into their life, then we have now the solutions that we can share it with them because we experience it on our own. So yes, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's very
Yeah,
valuable
no
also to
worries.
our audience that they can convert that pains into to freedom. So that's what you're doing at this moment. You're helping other people to turn their pains and struggles.
What I want to add to that as well is it's not what you can add to the meaning is also the language you use. And what I mean by that is the words we use carry some intensity. So if you use a lot of F words, let's say, um, this effing person, etc., then the intensity of the emotion gets um, really high. So you also have to be aware of the words you use when it comes to a problem. Because you can say, I am effing annoyed by this, or you can say, I am a little peeved. I don't know if that's the right word, but it means like I'm only a little irritated. So the whole intensity, the whole words you use carry an intensity. And if you change the words as well, together with the meaning, then you also change the intensity of the emotion. So if you have high intensity emotion, it's probable that you also use certain words that carry high emotion. So what I want to challenge people to do is to find alternatives for that word and then see if the emotion is any different.
So you mean, like, for example, that person is so annoying. That's very disempowering. And what do you mean by that? Is to shift that into empowering? Is that right?
It's not necessarily has to be empowering, but it has to be a better word than you're using. So if you get really angry sometimes, so for annoyed, I don't know, let's use the word angry.
Okay.
That person makes me really angry, and then you really get engaged in it and you really feel the anger. Instead of the word anger, you can also use that person, I don't really like him. And the whole intensity is different. The whole um, emotional charge is different when you use different words. So that's what I mean by it's still not empowering, but at least the emotion is way less than it in its original state.
Okay, I got it. I got it. I got it. So instead of using that very angry to that person, then you can really feel it in every cells of your body. But instead, you
Yeah,
have to change it in a way that not so heavy, not so intense, because
yeah.
it's also affecting my emotions. If I'm so angry with that person, and then you even fist your, your fist until you can really feel it. So I got it. Okay, I got it.
Okay, great. You want me to continue with the third? Okay. Okay. So the third one, the third key of change, and it's actually the third ingredient of your state, because when you combine those three, then you can, um, that's where you create the state in the sense. So when you put those three together, then you have a specific state. And the last state of the last key I want to mention is the physiology, because in order to feel, you do something with your body, and what you do with your body makes a huge impact on the way you feel. So, for example, you want to lose weight and you want to make that decision while you are laying on the couch with a bag of crisps and you're watching television and you say to yourself, "Oh, I think I'm going to work out tomorrow." Do you think that will make an impact on yourself? And probably not. But when you are active and you are already in motion or in movement, or you are standing in a certain way, there are like power stands, for example, where your shoulders go back, your head goes up, you're standing, your feet are like shoulder width apart, and then when you put your hands into your side and you look like that, it's almost impossible to
Should I do
feel
it? Should
negative
I do it?
thoughts. Yeah,
Should I
you
do it?
can, as
Should
an
I speak it?
example. Yeah,
What you said just now, I have to stand it and do the power.
yeah, the power stand. So, okay,
Okay.
feet, feet like shoulder width apart, hands in
Okay.
your side,
Like this.
shoulders, no, no, in your, yes, and now the triangle in your side, on your
Okay.
hips.
Okay. Like this. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay. It's like the power. Okay.
Yes, shoulders back and then look to the ceiling. Now, if you stand like this, is it, try to think, for example, depressive thoughts. Is it easy to do?
No, I cannot even feel it.
No, I mean, okay, that's actually a perfect example of the power of the body, the physiology, the way you use it. And the best exercise, of the best thing to get rid of depression is also exercising, because it creates a different state.
Oh, I
But
really
just
like this,
standing,
Tim. I really like. Can you explain more? Because when I do this, and there's a power behind this, when I look at, so that means if I will focus into a good thing, it's not easy for me to be, even thinking all this negative. Is it? Is that right?
yeah, so what we can do, we can also choose like the most common depression state. So you can hang your shoulders a bit forward. You can lean your head forward more. You can hang it down a bit. And then you can
Okay.
breathe very shallow and you leave your hands on the side, not on your hips. Then now think very good thoughts.
So it's like my emotions going down.
Yeah, exactly, because you use your body in a different way.
So
So you
okay, got
can,
it.
your body is a tool to change your thoughts and feelings as well. And
So I
if you
I got
are,
it. I got it.
okay,
Okay, Tim, just give me a moment because I just want to emphasize to our listeners that if they view our podcast, so that means when you are focusing into good thing, you just have to stand and then you just have to put your hands on your hips and then just look into the ceiling. And no matter what you put into that, like for example, negative statement, it's not easy for you to become depressed. It's because you're looking up. But when you are depressed and you think of negative statement, then it's easy for you to go into that emotions. Am I right? I got it.
correct,
I got it.
yes.
Yeah, I got it. It's a very clear explanation about the physiology. I got it.
Okay, great. So those are the three elements that will create your state. So the fourth thing we're gonna do is a quick summarize, like we put everything together. So let's say we focus on the things that are missing in our lives. We're focusing on the things that we cannot control. and we focus on the past, and we combine it with the meaning of punishment, and we use our physiology in a very, well, let's say depressed way. What are the chances that you are feeling good? It's like very low, right? And if you compare that to someone who is focusing on the things that they have in their life, the focus on the things that they can control, they focus on the present, and in the present on how to make a better future, like not the worst case scenario things, but they focus here in the here and now to build a better future. And they give it a meaning as a challenge or a gift, and they use their body like very energetic and in a positive way, then the chances are very high that person don't have any troubles with negative emotions. So
Wow, I see
those are
that.
the two extremes. So whenever you feel very down or very negative emotions, might want to write down like 3 columns. And this is what I did. So you write down focus on one thing, meaning on the other thing, and physiology on the third one. And then when
Okay.
you're feeling down, I want you to write down the things you are focusing on, the thoughts you think, the feelings you feel, and if possible, write them down exactly as you think it. Like don't write down better version because you like it better. It's all about being aware of the things you do habitual. Because once you know what you're doing habitual, then you can change.
Okay,
And this is
focus.
what, yeah, so focus, meaning, and physiology. We don't have to do it now, but anyone who feels negative emotions on a regular basis can write it down and then write down for themselves, okay, what do I focus on regularly? How do I use my body? And what meaning do I give to this? And what I want to add to this is what I also did once I recognized the things that I was thinking and doing. Um, then I created a vision for myself like, okay, who do I need to be or who do I need to become to achieve my dreams? And then I wrote that out. And take your time for this, because this is not something you want to write down in one sentence. Like you want to write the whole story, the whole picture. And then you can base your emotions and your feelings you want to feel on a daily basis based on your new version of you, the person you want to become. So let's say you feel depressed now, but you want to feel happy or empowered or whatever. So you can use the same 3 elements, like instead of writing down the focus, the meaning, and the physiology, write down now what is the state that I want to feel regularly. So, for example, you can use happiness and then you work the other way around. So, when I want to experience happiness, what things do I need to think? How do I need to use my body? What meaning do I need to give to the things that happened, my experiences in the past, present, and maybe gonna happen in the future? How do I want to handle that one? Because if you know the things you do in the past and you no longer want to feel and you don't have a substitute, then it's very hard to change. So if you have something you can replace it with, then it becomes very easy because then you can direct your focus, meaning, and physiology according what you do want to experience and feel.
Wow, that's so powerful. Would you mind sharing some statement, like for example, what you usually write down into the focus and what meaning they give and to the physiology? So, like for example, so they can use like this and they write down the focus and then the meaning and the physiology. Would you mind sharing at least one of your statements where you're focusing?
Okay, so before I go, I can only share my experience because
Yes.
everyone has different rules and different things they need to experience in order for them to feel happiness, for example. It's not the same for you and me.
Yes.
So, but what I wrote down during my depression a lot of the time, and I think a lot of people can relate, is that I'm not good enough, I'm not good looking enough, I don't have
Okay.
enough money, I'm not attractive enough, all those kinds of things you write
Okay.
down on one thing because that was the things that I was focusing on. And then the thoughts I was thinking like, okay, you are not good enough, you're never gonna have a girlfriend again, you're gonna be unhappy forever. stuff like that. And you want to write it all down, not because it makes you feel good, but then you can at least understand that when those things come up again, then you think, okay, I'm heading to this negative feeling. So you want to interrupt that. So it should be a trigger. If one of those things comes up, it should be a trigger to replace it with the better emotion you want to feel.
Okay. So
And then
instead
for
of like
me,
focusing into I'm not good enough because other people, right, when they are into that state of mind, being depressed, and of course what you mentioned just now, it's all true. They just focus into the negative statement. I'm not good enough. I'm not attractive enough. I will no longer have this beautiful relationship. So that's what we focus on during our uh, depression moment. But now it's because we want to focus on into something great that we want to experience. Then would you mind sharing also at least one statement for our audience
yeah,
that
sure.
shift you? Yeah.
So for me, what I shifted to, I think most recently, because it's most in here in my head, so it's happiness. And I really want to experience happiness. And the way I experience happiness is that I focus on the things I'm grateful for. And the things I say to myself is that, okay, I'm happy for the relationship I have. I'm happy that I'm here in Singapore. I'm happy for the people I meet. Um, I'm happy for the inspiration I get from other people, and hopefully I can inspire other people as well. And the things I'm thinking is also like, okay, I'm worthy. I can do this. I am good enough. I all those kinds of things, because when you stack all those things up, and the hard thing is, and this is going to be really a challenge for some people, you really have to feel it, because just saying it without emotion will not do anything. But it
So
all
it's very
starts.
important. It's very important to have a feelings
Correct.
into whatever statement we're putting into it. And by the way, I want to congratulate you because you found the love of your life and you're happy now. So you transition your hurt relationship into a happy relationship. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, I also mentioned that means when you shift that negative statement into a positive statement, you have to feel it, and that's leads to physiology, right? Because you can really feel it. You can really feel it the way you activated all your cells. You can really feel it. You can see it on your face, the body language, and how energetic you are. So I got it. All right.
And if you want to change your state or the way you feel, like you only have to change one of those three, and everything will change with it. So if you think different thoughts than you think the day before, then you will experience different feelings. It only makes sense. And if you feel different feelings, then you will have different thoughts around them as well. And if you use your body different than you did the day before, you will feel different as well. So it's enough to do just one of those three, but it's more impactful if you do two or three or yeah, all of them. Um, and yeah, the most powerful way to do it is to also get emotionally involved with the new state of being.
And you really have to feel it. Yeah. So I would like to share also my experience, right? When I was focusing into that darkness, into that negativity, it won't help me at all to grow. But when I shift that, I realized that this is not going to help me at all. But you know what? No one knows that I'm struggling with this type of, you know, this type of situation or experience. No one knows because I'm very energetic and my habits is always like working out, meditation, something like that. That can help me as well. And no one even like notice that, are you sure you have problem? Are you sure you're going through that depression? No way. You're just working out. We saw your Facebook post. You're very healthy, you're fit, and then something like that. But because the good thing is that if you are already aware that that negative emotions is no longer helping you at all, then I have to help myself because no one will help me except me. And of course, I have to reach out to the right person who can help me transition that pains into freedom. And you are one of them who helped me transition these emotions. And now I'm just being so grateful that yes, I just say yes because I make this dreams come true to interview people, and I already have people lined up, and you are one of them who inspire me the most.
Thank you. I want to share the last part is like I hope I inspire some people, and I want to thank you, Amanda, for being inviting me here on the podcast. I really enjoy doing it, and hopefully we'll be in touch more, and let's see what we can do together.
Well, thank you so much also that finally we made this happen, and I look forward for our listeners to get benefited from these conversations. And I'm just so excited because I just spoke to a few friends of mine just last week, and it's just exactly this topic is for them. So I want to thank you one more time. It's just because you had helped me also with this podcast, and I look forward for us to do more podcasts like this to share our expertise and at the same time to share valuable insights to our audience. And yes, I look forward to seeing you again next time. And again, thank you so much. And by the way, before we can end, I
Oh,
would like to ask where people can find you.
okay, so I think it will be a good thing that my socials will be put in the description, and you can follow me there. A lot of things are still in Dutch right now. I'm transitioning to English, so don't worry if you cannot understand the posts right now. But yeah, they can follow me on social media, and if they want to contact me, you can contact me on the socials as well.
So, which name are you using?
On my own name, so it's Tim Middelbos, and on Facebook it's Life Coaching, Tim Middelbos Life Coaching. On Instagram also, and LinkedIn it's just my name, Tim Middelbos.
All right. All right. See you again next time.
See you.